with spring training approaching fast, what are the Nationals' main issues in their starting rotation, and what do they look at in terms of the whole pitching staff as well as spring training gets underway?
I mean, I think the only issue in terms of the starting rotation is who starts on opening day,
right.
and then like if they can stay healthy and stuff. But if there were ever a starting rotation without any visible issues, this would be it. And I think in terms of the bullpen, that might be where on the pitching staff you see a few weak spots. But they did shore things up with Casey Janssen. I mean, people are going to worry about losing Tyler Clippard, obviously, and they lost a lot of innings from the staff they had last year. But Storen's closed before, and there are a lot of familiar faces there, like having one more year of experience. And so I think it's just going to be kind of a question of who falls where in that 7th, 8th inning role. But I think they feel pretty good about the arms they have there.
Neil, you wrote a blog post about Scherzer and Shields. We'll get to that a little bit later. But in terms of the Nats rotation, they should be probably more confident in their team going into the season, I'm assuming.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, this is arguably the best rotation in baseball right now. And when you look at how the Atlanta Braves built their championship caliber teams, it was always through the pitching because there's no losing streaks. I mean, when you look at that, you have these top quality pitchers able to go every day, and you limit losing streaks, you win actual series between the clubs. That's going to be the key for them. So, yeah, the bullpen is probably a little bit light in terms on skill and talent, but ultimately you have guys at the front end of the rotation that can go fairly deep. They should be fine.
Well, Scott, does bullpen at all concern you, given, obviously we know how they are on the top end. I mean, they're great, but when they get to the middle and the end, is that a little bit concerning for you at all?
Yeah, and to echo what Chelsea and Neil said, I mean, bringing in Casey Janssen, kind of the under-the-radar signing after Scherzer and Escobar in the offseason. But, I mean, he's got a track record of closing in Toronto. He had a really good first half last year and then struggled after getting food poisoning on a trip to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So you hope he bounces back. I mean, the Nationals under Mike Rizzo, that he's shown an ability to have guys leave in the offseason and replace them with guys who fit right in, with the exception of maybe Rafael Soriano. But I think, the biggest question for me in the bullpen is how Drew Storen runs with that closer role, because it looks like he's going to be given the shot again. He struggled in the postseason, but great in the regular season. So if he struggles, the question then becomes how soon do they go to Janssen in that spot?
Well, Chelsea, it's been a few years since I've been in that clubhouse, so I want to ask you about would any of the starters who could be number one, Jordan Zimmerman could be number one on most teams, Strasburg obviously, and Scherzer, would anyone feel slighted if another pitcher got the ball on opening day? I mean, what is your take on that?
I think that at this point I'm sure they'd feel slighted, but I don't think that would have any effect on, chemistry or anything like that. I mean, I think the kind of general wisdom would be you go with Strasburg because he's been the pillar and he's been the franchise guy, but then obviously you're giving Scherzer all this money. But to me, that's a one-day question. That's like a little bit of hype and then it's over, and maybe it comes back to you in the playoffs, but I still think your big three are pretty well established. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all for them. And I also don't think it's an issue, if someone goes down, you have Tanner Roark to step in.
Sure.
So there's very little controversy surrounding that group from what I can tell, I guess.
Well, Neil, we talked about this a little bit before about should it be Strasburg or should it be Scherzer. Do the numbers suggest one or the other?
They're pretty even. I still feel that Strasburg's the ace of this staff. I think that he's been here. He deserves opening day start. But, again, with the amount of money that they committed to Scherzer, it would not surprise me to see them give him the nod. But, talk about a good problem to have. I mean, we're talking about which potential Cy Young candidate is going to start opening day. I mean, and I agree with Chelsea. That's a one-day story at best.
There's no chemistry issue there as far as you can see, Scott, in terms of
I don't think it matters. I think it's a non-story. I mean, you let one start opening day, and then maybe the other one gets to start game one of the NLDS.
But if it comes back to the playoffs, who's going to be your one first? I mean, you assume this team's going to be
there,
right?
We'll talk about it on this show. And in the clubhouse, I think, if they can put the egos aside, it will be a non-issue.